what we want to do is to take you a little bit out of your comfort zone of the same old, and elevate your potential. Right? This is coaching. We will steer you into a direction you want to go, and we will give you some tools to reach that goal in a more consistent way, in a more satisfying way, and working hard but not working harder. We don't want people to get here and get burnout. You don't need to do that to achieve your goals. And so we will assist you in making most of your time. So this is the main idea. Am I going back? Yes, I am. So I'll give you just a couple of examples of things that we will be touching on. Techniques that will avoid distraction, and techniques that will prompt you to focus your attention. So what we see is that students have a very short span of attention, and they have shorter and shorter. So there are very easy techniques to allow you to do to allow you to do a zooming. One is the Pomodoro technique. It's the one we will talk briefly today, just for you to have a little flavor of our sessions, or the Eisenhower matrix. The use of a calendar. Most of the students do not fully use a calendar. And also creating a planning routine. So all of these are techniques that are fully developed these days, and that have some of them have sub techniques that we will try to infuse in you. And instead of giving you all in one go, we will give you each time, we'll give you a couple of techniques that you will integrate in your own daily basis, so that it won't become cumbersome, that you have all these things to do, and then you will lose, in a way, all your time planning, but not doing. That is also not what we want to. Okay. This is probably the most, in a way, a very useful thing, which is untangling the mess of ideas. So I have, and I know Joanna also has students that want to start to write an introduction, but they don't even know an introduction of whatever. It could be a report, and they don't even know where to start. And they are in panic because they have this blank sheet, which is always scary, and they don't know where to go. Well,
and they've read like 100 papers.
Yes, and they don't know. And it doesn't do them any good because they have all these notes. They have all of these loose notes, which is something that they should take care of also. And they don't know what to do. They know what is an introduction, but where do I start? Well, there are methods to take care of that, and at least to reduce a lot that kind of stress of staring into the blank sheet. And once you learn this, it becomes a habit. Once you do it, once you implement these writing tips, it becomes a habit. So you will never lose them. Okay. And the good thing of these tips that we are sharing is that when I have a tip for you, or Joanna has a tip for you, and we give that tip to you, we don't lose that tip. We still keep that tip to us, and you have your tip as well. So this is like tips reproducing themselves. We don't lose them. It's not like if I give you an apple and you eat the apple and the apple disappears. So this is something that also I like. So in the blank page, where to start, besides the writing techniques and the structure of a paper, we have the outline method and a strategy to implement the outline method. So there is also plenty of literature out there and YouTube videos on the outline method, but many students do not know how to practically implement it. Well, we will give you some really practical and useful tools, I believe, because I've given them to my students and it worked out. Where to look for references? Well, most of you know these days that you look for references in Google Scholar. Well, there are other ways to look for papers. You can use Research Rabbit, you can use Connected Papers, and I just found another one yesterday called Elicit, which is what is called a artificial intelligence platform that will look for papers for us, given to certain keywords. Well, we don't need to complicate here. Google Scholar is still the most useful one. But there are other ways. And as I talk about this, where to look for references, there is also the reference manager. So some of you all of you will need to do a list of references in the end. How do you compose that list of references according to a specific style and so on? So there's lots of managers, and we can give you some help in choosing a really good reference manager, right? And if any of you at this point in time does not use a reference manager, that I would say would be the first thing to attack, is a reference manager for your work. You really need to have a database with your papers and the references, right? So that you don't lose it. But we will get there. Okay, so another really vast topic is how to take smart notes. And I would say not only how to take smart notes, but what to do with those notes, right? Because our brain is not hierarchical. Joanna is laughing because she's smiling because I've been insisting with her for using a certain app.
I'm still struggling.
She's still struggling. See, so but it doesn't. What it matters is that you find a system that it works. Our brain is not hierarchical, but our computers are, right? So most of us will keep our notes in either computers or in a physical notebook. Everything, those two things are hierarchical. In a physical notebook, there's one notebook, so you cannot have the same note in several notebooks unless you just write them in several notebooks.
And it's also not very effective when you have to look for things.
No, it's not. So in the computer, it's the same thing. You have a folder, and then you have a file. Now, one tries to classify. So if you're having classes, you will put the notes under a file, under a class. But imagine that the topic of that class is shared among two or three classes. Even if only among two classes, you already have one filing under one class that is not shared with the other. So our brain and our life does not work hierarchically. It works as in a weave. And a maze. So we need to understand how can we store our notes in an effective way that we can look for them and it makes sense. Okay, so this is also something that we will be talking about with you, and this will be probably a little bit interspersed with the other sessions, which are the new tools for all tasks. So if you really want to explore new tools, now Todoist, for instance, is not it's a to-do list, but it will help you to do some planning, some daily planning. And then we have Roam and Obsidian, which are note-taking, personal management, knowledge apps. They are a little bit more complex to use, but it's worthwhile at least for me to do the showcase and show you why you should use these tools. Okay, so our model, as I said, is this. We will have live sessions once a month. Okay, these live sessions, unless prompted, if you really want, we can do them twice a month, but I was just going for once a month.